Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Vampire lore has always fascinated me, especially the way it intertwines with romance.
Oh, absolutely. There's just something about that forbidden love, that timeless allure that just draws you in.
Right. And today, we're diving deep into a novel that really captures that essence.
Mhm.
Forever Chosen by K.L. Bone.
I love that book. It's got all the classic elements you could ask for. A brooding vampire, a captivating mortal woman, and a love story that spans centuries.
Exactly. And it's part of this larger shared universe called Vampire Brides. Yeah.
Yes, it's like this incredible collection of paranormal romance stories. Each book is a standalone, so you get that satisfying happily ever after every time.
But each with its own unique flavor.
Exactly. Different authors bring their own spice to the mix. Some stories are sweeter, some are a little steamier, so there's something for everyone.
That's awesome.
Oh.
So what about Forever Chosen? What sets this particular story apart in this Vampire Brides world?
Well, I think this one really digs deep into the sacrifices people make for love. It's about a woman named Catherine who falls for Hayden, a vampire with a really dark past.
Ooh, the classic brooding vampire. I'm intrigued already.
Yeah, and his past is dark, like really dark. The novel doesn't shy away from the brutal reality of his transformation.
I'm curious about that. How does the novel portray his origin story?
It's pretty intense. Hayden was a knight in medieval England, and he was captured by this really sadistic vampire named Caleb.
Oh no, not a nice guy, I take it.
Not at all. He repeatedly drained Hayden's blood, tortured him, and, well, there are even these twisted elements of seduction involved.
Whoa, seduction. That just
Yeah.
adds another layer of messed up to this whole power dynamic.
Right. Caleb forced Hayden into this master-slave relationship that went way beyond the physical.
So how does Hayden escape this horrific situation?
Well, he eventually rebels against Caleb, but it's not just about wanting freedom. He's driven by this need to protect Catherine and her family.
From Caleb, right,
Uh,
like he sees the danger they're in.
exactly. Hayden's actually ordered to kill Catherine's entire family to prove his loyalty to Caleb.
That's a horrifying dilemma. What a terrible situation for Hayden to be in.
It is. That choice really defines him. Does he obey his sadistic master or protect the woman he's drawn to?
I'm guessing he chooses Catherine.
You're right. He makes this daring escape and finds refuge with a rival vampire clan, the Turum Londoniarum. They're like the knights of the vampire world.
Knights. Interesting. So they're not all bad.
No, they're very different from Caleb. They value honor and chivalry and represent a more noble side of vampire society.
It sounds like the novel is creating this contrast between monsters and men, with Hayden caught somewhere in the middle.
I like that. And Hayden is definitely wrestling with his past, all the guilt he carries, and this fear that he'll somehow corrupt Catherine's innocence.
It really makes you question what it means to be a monster, doesn't it? Like, is it about what you are or the choices you make?
Exactly.
So how do Hayden and Catherine actually meet? It's not like they bump into each other at a vampire club, right?
No, it's much more ordinary than that. Hayden is trying to blend in, so he works as a waiter at a diner.
Okay.
And guess who's a regular?
Catherine, of course.
Right. He's drawn to her vibrance, her normalcy, a life he can no longer have.
It's that classic vampire drawn to innocence trope, but I have a feeling the novel does more with it.
Oh, it definitely does. What's interesting is that Hayden tries to protect Catherine from afar. He doesn't want to drag her into his dark world.
But fate always has a way of intervening, doesn't it?
It always does. One night, a man threatens Catherine at the diner, and Hayden intervenes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he uses his vampire strength to scare the guy off, but that incident gives Catherine a glimpse of Hayden's true nature. Her world is suddenly turned upside down.
It's got to be a shock. So how does she react?
It's a process. Hayden, consumed by guilt, tries to push her away. He thinks he's too dangerous for her.
That makes sense, given his past. But I bet Catherine doesn't give up that easily.
You know it. She's drawn to the mystery surrounding him.
This is where their forbidden love story really starts to heat up.
It does. They share this incredibly passionate night together.
Okay.
But afterward, Hayden's fears come rushing back. He's convinced he's tainted Catherine and decides to leave for her own good.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. What does he do? Just disappear into the night?
He does, but not before leaving behind a single red rose and a charm inscribed with the word always.
A symbol of their connection, even though he believes they can't be together.
Exactly.
So what happens to Catherine? Does she ever move on?
She cries, years pass, and she tries to rebuild her life, but she never forgets Hayden. She keeps that always charm close, a constant reminder of what they shared, and the unanswered questions that still linger.
And that's when Caleb makes his grand return.
Oh yeah, just when Catherine thinks she's finally moved on, Caleb resurfaces and abducts her.
What? No, why? What does he want?
Revenge, plain and simple. He wants to punish Hayden for betraying him, and he's going to use Catherine to do it.
Oh no. This is a nightmare scenario. What does Caleb do to her?
Well, he imprisons her in this cold, empty room. He's trying to break her, to strip away her spirit. He even gives her this beautiful red dress to wear.
A red dress. Why a red dress?
It's almost like he's forcing her into his dark world.
So not only is he tormenting her physically, but mentally as well. It's like he's trying to control her, to
Yeah.
make her into something she's not.
You got it. He's playing mind games with both her and Hayden, forcing him to make impossible choices.
This is just awful. But those knights, the Torum Londoniarum, they'll come to the rescue, right?
They do. They show up just in time to save both Catherine and Hayden.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So they defeat Caleb.
Well, not exactly. He manages to escape.
What? He gets away.
He does, slips away into the shadows. It's clear that this isn't the last we've seen of him. He's still out there.
So the danger isn't over. Not completely.
No. But at least Catherine and Hayden are safe, for now. But now Catherine is fully aware of the vampire world, and she has a really tough decision to make.
She has to choose between her mortal life and immortality with Hayden. Wow. Talk about a life-altering decision. It's like the novel is saying, hey, sure, love can conquer all, but be ready for some serious consequences.
Right. Like on the surface, the Vampire Brides universe is all about those happy endings.
Yeah, but in Forever Chosen, that happiness comes at a price. The characters go through so much pain, so many moral dilemmas. It makes you wonder, what would you sacrifice for love?
Absolutely. And Catherine isn't the only one making sacrifices here. I mean, Hayden's carrying centuries of guilt and trauma.
Yeah, and he's falling deeper in love with Catherine while trying to atone for his past. It's like those two things are constantly at war within him.
Totally. And the novel really drives that point home when Nicholas, the leader of the Turum Londoniarum clan, has that conversation with Catherine.
Oh yeah, where he lays it all out for her, no sugarcoating.
Exactly. He tells her straight up, no more sunlight, no more aging. You're basically trading your humanity for eternity.
So it's not just about romantic love. It's about accepting the darkness that comes with it. It really makes you think about the whole appeal of immortality. Is it a blessing or a curse?
And that's where this novel's take on the vampire myth gets really interesting. It's not just about fangs and immortality. It's about the burdens that come with it.
And the choices we make define who we are, whether we're human or vampire.
Exactly.
It's like the novel is suggesting that true love isn't about escaping the darkness, but facing it together. That's pretty powerful.
I think so too. And it's not just Hayden and Catherine who have to face this darkness. You've also got Caleb, the antagonist.
Oh, Caleb. He's definitely not your typical brooding vampire. He's possessive, manipulative, just ruthless.
And he represents everything Hayden is trying to resist.
For sure.
And Caleb's character brings up these really uncomfortable questions about power and control, how immortality can corrupt even the strongest will.
You know, he sees Hayden as his creation, something he molded and controlled. And he's furious that Hayden defied him.
Especially for a mortal woman.
Exactly. And that rage, it manifests in some really disturbing ways. I mean, that torture scene where Hayden is chained and Catherine has to watch.
Oh, I know. It's brutal.
Like straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah, but it shows that the novel isn't afraid to explore that darker side of vampire lore.
Right. It's not all romantic longing and brooding heroes.
There are real stakes in this world. Real danger.
And even though Caleb escapes, it doesn't feel like the danger is over. It's like this lingering threat, a reminder that darkness can't be easily defeated.
And it's not just Caleb. Even the Turum Londoniarum clan, the good guys, they operate in the shadows too. They make life or death decisions based on their own code of justice.
It makes you wonder if anyone in this world is truly innocent.
Right. Like there are shades of gray in everyone, mortal or immortal.
Nobody's completely good or evil.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that makes Forever Chosen so compelling. It challenges our assumptions about good and evil, love and sacrifice. It asks, what does it mean to be human, even in a world with vampires?
You know, there's one character I'm still trying to figure out. Julia. She seems to have this deep understanding of Caleb, almost like she knows him on a personal level. What's her story?
Oh, Julia's role is fascinating. The novel hints at a past relationship between them, one that ended badly. There's that scene where they confront each other, and it's revealed that their families have very different views on how vampires should exist in the world.
So it's not just about individual morality,
Yeah,
but these larger power struggles within vampire society.
definitely. It adds a whole other layer to the story.
For sure.
And in this climactic moment, Julia ends up killing Caleb. But it's not a triumphant act.
No.
No, it's full of sadness. It's almost like the novel is saying that even in a world of immortals, the past can never truly be escaped.
That's a pretty heavy thought.
It is.
You know, it's fascinating how the novel plays with those familiar vampire tropes. The forbidden love, the ancient feuds, the struggle between good and evil. But it weaves them together to create something new.
It really does. And it uses this compelling romance to explore these deeper questions about humanity and morality, the consequences of our choices.
It really makes you think about love, the allure of immortality, and what we're willing to sacrifice for the people we care about.
I know, right?
This novel has definitely made me rethink everything I thought I knew about vampire stories. What about you? What stood out to you the most?
It's Catherine's choice at the end, you know? She chooses to become a vampire.
To be with Hayden.
Right. And you think, okay, happy ending.
Right.
Right. But it's not that simple, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely that sense of uneasiness, like their happily ever after is going to be a little more complicated.
And that's what makes this book different. It doesn't shy away from that. It acknowledges that love doesn't just magically erase all the complexities of life, you know?
Whether you're mortal or immortal.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like real love isn't about finding the perfect fairy tale ending. It's about choosing to be with someone.
Flaws and all.
Yeah, and facing whatever darkness comes your way together.
Exactly. And that's what makes Forever Chosen such a powerful read. It sticks with you, and it makes you question your own values and the choices you'd make for love.
It really does.
So let's bring this back to our listeners.
Yeah.
Why should they care about a story about vampires and forbidden love? What makes this relevant to us?
Because deep down, it's a story about what it means to be human, you know? It explores those universal themes of love, loss, guilt.
Yeah.
And even when we're faced with impossible situations, we always have the power to choose.
That's a good point.
It challenges us to look at the darkness within ourselves and the world around us, and to ask ourselves what we're willing to sacrifice for the people we love.
It's like a reminder that even when things are dark, there's always hope. And love can be a powerful force for good,
Absolutely.
even if it means embracing the shadows.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, it'll make you ask yourself, if you were in Catherine's shoes, would you choose immortality with the one you love?
Would you give up everything for an eternity with someone who embodies both darkness and light?
That's the question, isn't it?
It definitely is. So if
Yeah.
you're looking for a vampire romance that's more than just a superficial love story, check out Forever Chosen. It will stay with you long after you finish reading it
I agree.
and make you think about the nature of love sacrifice and the choices that shape our lives. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Forever Chosen.